Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Duels of the Spellslingers. So it's me, Obus Form here today. I'm one of the Spellslingers mods and admins, and I did want to give you guys a quick update about the tournament and the upcoming patches that we might see soon, TM-ish. But the tournament, so it will go on. We will be making the announcement sometime this weekend of the Labor Day long weekend. We wanted to make sure that Wizards of the Coast, if they did launch a patch and gave us a date, we wouldn't have the tournament occur sometime in the middle of that launch, so that, you know, it would be fair that all players would go through with the tournament using the exact same cards and it wouldn't change. But unfortunately, Wizards of the Coast does not release any date, so we will be going forward and making an announcement for the tournament. If the patch does drop middle of the way through, we will try our best to ensure at least that bracket or those groups of matches are done on the old patch, and then the new patch, you know, it'll go into effect. But if it affects cards like drafting and other things, we'll have to get into that separately. I think we're just gonna have to go forward with the tournament because, as you guys know, the way Wizards of the Coast announces something, I mean, it could take 5 months or maybe 5 days, I don't know. So we're going to go forward, but we're going to announce the rules officially on the tournament Discord and on the main Discord that you guys are always watching, so do keep a lookout. And I also want to bring to your attention, as you guys know, there will be Drizzt Do'Urden, that new planeswalker, but I wanted to reveal something to you guys, and I think antlr, who edits our videos, he's going to post some pictures, maybe some of the spoilers. We do have help from the community. I don't want to name individuals at all, but we did have some help, and some people were able to, you know, look at the data file, data mine a little bit. Don't want to spoil anything too much, but we were able to get some more information. So it looks like, of course, we will get Drizzt Do'Urden, and his panther is called Guenhwyvar, Guenhwyvar, Guenhwyvar. Anyways, I don't think that's really a spoiler, but Drizzt will have some sort of, it seems to be a night vision mechanic, and of course summon his panther. I do think it's going to be green-white, just like a Johnny, and it is coming from the Forgotten Realms set of magic, which actually comes from the Greater, part of the Dungeons and Dragons entire tabletop board gaming sort of thing. Forgotten Realms set looks like it has something about Cycle of Dragons, and I think it's going to be like one for each color. And so does some of the, you know, more famous monsters and artifacts from the D&D world, from the D&D game. And of course, as you guys know, it's going to have those 5 classes. And I wanted to name some of the cards. I don't want to give too much away, but just from some of the leaks that we got, some of the names of the cards will be like the Blink Dog Pack, Icing Death. There's another one called Defend with Twinkle. I don't know what that means. I have defended things with my Twinkle. Not successfully, but you know, it was an attempt. There's also other ones called like Transparent Hallway, Gelatinous Cube, Stormseeker, Inferno, and then I do have something really cool. I have a list of some of the other cards that will be those particular sort of class cards, and I did want to sort of reveal that to you guys. So I'm just clicking through all my messages while making this video, and I apologize. So some of the other ones for the School of the Wizard, the blue one, we're gonna have level 1 Wizard's Familiar, level 2 some sort of signature spell, and it looks like level 3 is gonna be called Elemental Mastery or Water Elemental or something like that. Then in the Pact of the Warlock, we might have level 1 Pact Bound Quest or something. Level 2 is gonna be Sign of Ill Omen, level 3 will be Whispers of the Grave. Again, I'm not gonna name any of the effects, that'll be something that we can discover. But if you guys want to Google it and find something, you know, pictures and relevance or D&D things, that is up to you. And it's not my fault. Wizards of the Coast, please do not shut this down. Thank you very much. Path of the Barbarian. Their level 1 is called, I think, Acts of Vengeance. Number 2, level 2 is going to be called Mindless Rage. Reminds me of my XX boss. Yes, very good. Level 3, Indomitable Strength. And then Circle of the Druid. Number 1 will be Wild Shape Wolf. Number 2 is going to be Bark High Growth. That's also what I call my Twinkle. And level 3 is the Wild Shape Brontosaurus. Seems druids have an affinity for, I guess, dinosaurs, it seems. So you guys have heard the names here. Again, don't want to name too much. Don't want to name the individuals that helped out, sort of do the data mine and the leak, but if you guys want to Google stuff, hey, it's not my fault. Go and take a look. Some of the other cards are like, Aura of Courage, Wizard's Familiar. I think I already said that. Yeah, so it's going to be like 41 or 40 cards or so from this set, and I think it's going to be these 12 to make a total of something like 60 or 61 or something new cards into the Forgotten Realms. So that's something we have to look forward to, as well as the tournament. And now, actually, for the next part of the video, we're going to talk about some of those Paladin cards we saw. And I know for the Paladin cards, if you can pull it up, Antler, but I know for the Paladin cards, what we have so far was the Faithful Steed debut. It's a 1 mana cost, it's a 1/2, and it gives a single friendly creature +0/+1, so it fits very well into a Johnny, right? A Johnny's passive. We also have the 3 cost Divine Smite, and basically what it does is deal damage to an enemy creature equal to the number of friendly creatures for 3 costs. So I'm going to get into that a little bit later. And then the last one we have is 5 cost Aura of Courage. And it says for the rest of the game, so it's like a spell that affects the rest of the game. After it's cast, after a friendly creature attacks, it gets +1/+1. So we're going to get into the next part of this video where I kind of go through maybe where some of those cards could be really good. And I'll see you there. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so the first card we're going to look at is that 1 mana Faithful Steed 1/2, gives a friendly creature +0/+1. So we're going to go through all the, I guess, white planeswalkers, and I've loaded some of the decks here. So the first one we're going to go through is a Johnny. A Johnny, as you know, is built off debuts, because after you target a friendly creature to give it +0/+1, the next creature you draw will get +1. So I think it fits perfectly. A lot of those times we're going to have, Devoted Steed to target things. We're going to have Grudge Match to target things. So I think it fits in perfectly. But at a 1 cost, I'm not exactly sure. So the reason I say that is because it's worth looking at all the creatures of 1 cost. So if you look with me, we're going to see Untested Rookie, if it survives. So we're talking about that, 1 mana white trap that gives it shield. If it survives, it becomes a 4/4. Faithful Caracal, every time you attack, you heal for 2. Inventive Crafter, Ashiok, blue sort of control, gives you 2/2 flyer. Shadow Weaver, God, she's attractive. With the 1/3 Finale Mill, even Cranial Consultant in Kaya, and Super Aggro Zombie Liliana decks, right, to attack every turn, discard. They're very powerful. We got discard, we got a second card, we got insane stats for a 1/1 if it happens. Of course, we basically have 2 HP over here and a 2 heal. So the fact that it's going back to that card, we don't see it here though, but going back to that card, I'm gonna alt tab. 1 mana for a 1/2 creature, not a 2/2 creature, and it gives a friendly creature +0/+1. I think it's actually kind of underpowered compared to some of the other 1 costs. I mean, this is a common card, this is a rare card, it's not even an epic card. This is a very powerful epic, as you guys know, playing Chandra, Angrath, Nahiri, double damage, 1/2. That's really powerful stuff. So at 1 mana, 1/2, and it, debuts to give a card +0/+1, I don't think it's overpowered. I actually think it's underpowered, if I'm being honest, right? Channeler of Might can become a 3/3. So I think it, it does what it's supposed to do. It has synergy with a Johnny. So let's look at whoops. My bad, everyone. Let's look at the other one. So you could splash it into, or not splash, put it into Gideon. Gideon, as you guys know, is usually trying to have at least 3 creatures so that he can, attack with himself, his face as an attacker. He uses that very manly, square jawed. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So Gideon is wanting to have his guys live through another thing, but a lot of Gideon's creatures have one, that make him sort of rush the board, have already, low HP. So giving them 1 more HP, I don't think it really makes the difference. Because they're just going to get shocked, or, maybe a little zap lightning from Ral. Maybe a flame coil, right, if it's really big. So I don't find that, 1 HP is really going to make the difference to Gideon's survival. It's just going to be 1 more creature, like a Lingering Spirit, except it doesn't have fly, doesn't give you another guy, doesn't give you, it's not haste, so it doesn't allow you to trigger Gideon's passive in the same turn it's used. I don't think it's actually that powerful of a 1 cost. So also, let's go to Liliana. Let's say Liliana. does it. And this is my, you know, that white splash deck with the control and everything. And I just messing around in a Champion's Grid. Anyways, so at 1 mana for a 1/2 with a debut, it's not a zombie. There's no synergy at all. So that's that. Jace as a control player, 1 mana for a 1/2. That gives it +1, +0, +1. It's possible, but I mean, if I can only splash 6, I mean, you know, it's always going to be seconds. It's always going to be Day of Judgment, guys. It's got to be Day of Judgment. Maybe some Acroma, maybe some Second Sun, and then, you know, 2 flex white things. Could be the Trap, could be, you know, Stoneforge Mystic, could be this heal. It's not going to be used on a 1 cost. You know, it could be the you would have to use one of the 6 as a as the quest, rather the level up thing, but you're not going to play a 1 mana 1/2, you know, with it just doesn't make sense. I mean, you could, but it doesn't really add value, I don't think. It does make sense, of course, and Najani has perfect synergy with her. And for Kaya, I don't have a deck, but if we look at Kaya's decks, all of her creatures normally have, you know, low HP. Let's see, Kaya's actual thing. There we go. Kaya's Enforcer is a 2/1. And the only reason it stays alive is because it has Sneak and rather Armor. So, I mean, if it becomes a 2/2, it's not really going to have, it's still going to get shocked to death. So there is some possibility that they do live. But the fact that, you know, you want that fast tempo with Daggerclaw Imp, the difference between 1 and 2 life is basically like Burn Through doesn't work, right? Or what's that other red card? There's that other red card. Let me go take a look. 3 mana creature. Let's see, red only. You know that Archer that does the 1 damage? Yeah, get to Archer. There we go. Just like get to Ember Mage and get to Archer. I mean, yeah, it won't be, you know, falling prey to get to Archer. Maybe it won't be falling prey to, let's say, Chandra's, you know, specific spells. That one where it does damage. Flame Shot, 3 to everything, 3 to 1 person, and then 1 to everything. So it doesn't, but I mean, you're gonna have this very oddball synergy. I don't think it really works with Kaya. And also Kaya wants tempo. Every creature she plays, it either has to be flying, or it has to be sneak, or it has to be, you know, drain, or it has to be just cast and it does the damage, like that 2 mana black ogre that does the 2 damage on debut. For Nahiri, I think Nahiri plays just like Chandra, plays just like, you know, Angrath. Everything has to have haste. Everything has to be unblockable, so you got the burn through. So playing a 1 cost doesn't really help you. So there's no synergy. Again, it doesn't hurt to have that card exist, but to play it doesn't help your tempo in any of these sort of white planeswalker that are rush. And of course, we can look into Teferi. So it doesn't have any particular synergy at 1 mana, you know, for a 1/2 with +1, but I think it fits into the idea that Teferi wants to stall. So maybe Paladin is a good way for just, you know, to stall the game a little bit longer, to have +1 HP. So at least that's what I kind of think of the card here. So let's go to the next card, the Divine Smite, 3 mana, and it does damage equal to the number of friendly creatures. I think we all know there's a lot of other cards, a lot of white spells, specifically at 3 mana that remove, so let's go through them. Here we go. So the most obvious is Path to Exile, 3 mana, destroy whatever you want, and the enemy gets a free mana gem. Sometimes it can break you, but sometimes it's there to break the enemy's combo, like the get to Ember Mages for Ral. Even if he gets 1 more mana, he doesn't get to do like 7 damage for free, or if he has a Breaching Serpent, you've taken care of it. If it's a Liliana's Goliath can attack next turn, you've taken care of it. Stuff like that, right? The other one is Smite the Monstrous, again 3 mana, destroy anything 5 or greater, which actually covers pretty much all of your game-ending threats, anything that would be a problem. The only thing it doesn't cover, to be honest, in my experience, is, let's go to cost, is, you know, maybe a Blood Queen Drana. It doesn't cover what's his name? Momir Vig, that's the one. Doesn't kill Tajik, you know, since people are running Tajik and Vivian now. Of course, Nahiri, and maybe even, you know, Gideon, who's red splash for haste. So it doesn't cover any of these sort of red. Doesn't kill this one, but doesn't matter. Doesn't kill this one, but doesn't matter. It kills all those bigger guys, those game-ending mythics with those huge effects. You know, Angel of Wrath, Daria Gaz, a Pity Might. So it kills that. So that's kind of what we're competing with. So let's go back to that spell. So we're competing, whoops, my bad guys, spell and 3 and white. So it's competing with Path to Exile and Smite the Monstrous. And again, I think it doesn't take any extra card in your deck, so you don't have to put it there. I think it's nice to have, But because it says it does damage based on the number of creatures you have, of course that's a very Gideon thing, and the maximum damage you can do is 5 damage. So if your Gideon deck already runs Smite the Monstrous or Path to Exile, you know, to get rid of those big blockers, so you can get more face damage in, it's not bad to have a board full of 5 creatures and do another 5 damage. You're pretty much going to kill the majority of creatures that can come out at the 3 mana or 4 mana mark. Nothing really has 5 HP. I mean, sure, Towering Shieldbearer, but if someone plays that, it's probably going to be Teferi, and he's probably going to have Fair Fight or like a Paragon of Balance, right? It could kill an enemy's Vainglorious Hero, but again, that's usually just a Gideon card. It might not be enough to kill Jace's Apprentice, depending on how he has it. So it's a very niche card. It kills 5 damage, is enough to kill most of the threats on the board. It won't kill the Recycled Grotesque, but if it's 6/6, you might want to need another way to get rid of that anyways, right? Instead of just doing damage to its face. Yeah, it kills those pesky Gladecore Wardens, kills your Predator Ooze, kills your Rugged Druid, kills Teferi's Acolyte, sure, why not? Leon and Kincaller, kills a lot of stuff. So I think it's a very powerful way for Gideon to have it. Liliana, again, if you did splash white with that Paladin thing and the quest, you could, having a bunch of, early aggro zombies, maybe 3 or 4 of them, and then, at turn 3, let's say you had 3 of them, and you want to kill something, you could attack, and then, just kill a creature like a Predator Ooze, or if someone blocks with Draugr Druid, you can, so it has some synergy. For Jace, I don't think it's, too bad. Again, the first card didn't have too much synergy, although you could splash it as one of your right cards. And then if you have that, Jace doesn't have a lot of creatures. He's got like 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5, and 6 and 7. But you're largely using Repulse to buy turns, Remand, Negate, Unsummon, Isochron Scepter. So you're not going to really have too much synergy with that card. Again, a Johnny who will have a lot of early costs. Maybe it could do at least a good 3 or 4 damage. Again, just sort of increase the pressure. And I think it's very good for Kaya, because again, Kaya is known for those easily cheap, 1/1 flyers. Her signature card, the 2/1 sneak and armor. So you're gonna have maybe 3 or 4, maybe even 5 guys by turn 4. And when you have that card, because you played the first one, then you can suddenly do 5 damage and remove something, just like Smite the Monstrous, just like Path to Exile. Nahiri is quite the same. Lots of, tons of 1 costs. And so again, when you do play that on maybe your 3rd or 4th turn, because you've played that 1 cost, 1 mana debut, 1/2 creature, and you get that 3 mana, you will have maybe enough to do 4 or 5 damage. So I think it combos well with Nahiri, with, what's his name, Gideon, and not so much with the White Splash Liliana, White Splash Jace. It's just more native white creatures, white planeswalkers with those low cost creatures, because you're going to have it. So let's look at the next card, Aura of Courage. For the rest of the game, after the friendly creature attacks, it gets +1/+1. So let's just clarify. After a friendly creature attacks, it means it's going to be the same as these particular creatures. Where is it? I'm looking for that green creature where when it attacks, it gets a random upgrade to itself, kind of a thingamajig. Where's that wolf? It's like a briar or something wolf. Where's that little guy? Okay, so I don't have it on me, but here, actually, here's another example. Let's use that white creature. So yeah, this one, Team Captain. After it attacks, it gives all other friendly creatures +1/+1. So I think that's exactly what happens. Once you finish declaring attacking with this particular creature, it gives everyone +1/+1, including Gideon. So again, this feels like such a strong Gideon card to play. But however, the problem with it is that it's 5 mana do nothing. It's a 5 mana that basically says for the rest of the game, when things attack, it gets +1/+1. It doesn't actually give current board pressure. So if you have nobody on board, or no one, no creatures on board, it's not going to give you more creatures. It's just sort of more of a win more card. But if you do have 4 or 5 creatures on board, so you can already trigger his you can trigger Gideon's face. He can smash his face into the enemy's face. And then you do play that card, it's really good. And there's a lot of, good combos, because suddenly everyone gets +1/+1, including Gideon himself. Although it's not permanent, but it is interesting. It could combo that 5 mana card. Again, it's a win more card. It doesn't solve the problems. It doesn't, suddenly have more board pressure. But it works well with maybe aggro white Liliana, because you have all those low-cost zombies and Shadow Weaver, who's so attractive, but unfortunately her attractiveness doesn't make it so that she puts pressure onto the enemy. You know, and seduction doesn't work in this game, at least not yet. So Merchant of Death, you could have that. Diehard Fan, you could have your 2/2 Decaying Zombie, that Relentless itself. And so suddenly on turn 5, we know all these little guys and nobody's blocking, right? Because they don't want to trigger this guy, or they don't want to trigger her. They don't want to give, they don't want to give you more cards. They don't want to trigger the finales. And then you play that card, suddenly it's so much more board pressure. It's just like playing the Undead Captain. So let's look at that for a second. 3 mana, black card, creature. It's the exact same as playing this for Liliana. Give all other friendly zombies +1/+0. Except that one's 5 mana and it's +1/+1, although you lose it if they die, right? But the same kind of board pressure. So I would say at 5 mana, it's very costly for all these white planeswalkers because there's no increased board pressure. And it's sort of an increase of just pressure at that time. But if you don't have board control, playing that card won't do anything. So it has its place, but I don't think it'll ever be played on turn 5, because probably by turn 5, you're going to just, you know, rush the board as Gideon. You're going to put in, oops, that's not Gideon. You're going to put in more creatures. You know, maybe you're going to do your Zozu if you have one. Maybe your tour guide to make someone go, you know, flying overhead. And if they're not flying already, to do more damage, right? Or maybe Stoneforge Mystic you're going to play, plus get the spell, you know, to give someone flying or sneak to end the game. You might even play Hellrider at 5 cost instead of that thing. So I think it's a very sort of late game, like 7 mana, 8 mana as Gideon. But if you're 7 mana, 8 mana as Gideon, I think you also have another problem, which is the enemy will just Day of Judgment you. Right, same thing with Liliana. If you're in the early game and you have all this, you know, +1/+1, and you finally play your 5 mana thing, I think it's because you stabilize the board. If you're going as, you know, what I like to call control Liliana instead of like, you know, the other like green splash Golgari, you know, overrun trample kind of Liliana. So I think it's just, it doesn't really help you save the board, right? It has its place, but again, it seems like a win more. And so again, same thing for Johnny. At 5 mana, you might, play like Team Captain, Strength of the Pride, Leonin Kincaller, something which is 2 mana, or again, Stoneforge Mystic and its spell, which could be, you know, again, Sneak or Flying Overhead, so powerful, or just get rid of something you need to get rid of, right? Smite the Monstrous. I don't think you'd ever play that on 5 mana on curve, unless you're already winning the board. But if you're winning the board, you might not play that. You might just play another creature, unless you're scared of, and this would be the counterplay, unless you're scared that the enemy is going to somehow manage to survive, and then Day of Judgment, so you're like, you know what? I'm not going to invest a second creature in any of my Nahiri, Gideon, Ajani sort of rush planeswalker types. I'm not going to invest a second creature. I am just going to do a win more card and still do the same amount of damage if I played another haste creature, you know, that would have come if I played a, let's say, a Zozu haste for 5 damage. So I'll fill the board with 5 creatures and I'll play that. I'll still get my extra 5 damage without playing another creature. And I think that's maybe where you can maximize its use, where you already have all the board control. You don't want to overly invest in the number of creatures, but you still want that damage, and that's where it would come in play. So that's my take on the 3 Paladin cards so far. I know early in the video we did give you guys some sort of spoilers about the names of other cards, but let me know what you guys think. If you guys do happen to Google, you know, leave in the comments what you find about the D&D sets and those other abilities. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys would like to see, different content. And if you guys like this video, please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.